according to what I have here in front of me from Sasha Abramsky at Truthout, McCarthy's red line in his end of the negotiations is supposedly imposing a 20-hour per week work requirement on able-bodied recipients of the so-called food stamp program. That's been in place since the Clinton years, hasn't it? Remember, that was part of Bill Clinton's triangulation when Bill Clinton revealed himself as being a moderate Republican, had not a fucking thing to do with the Democratic Party. You remember that betrayal, right? Huh? Which set the stage for a not so liberal Republican, George W. Bush. But I digress. So anyway, McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, and the Nazis who are propping him up in the House want this 20-hour per week work requirement on recipients of the SNAP program, as well as Medicaid. If you're receiving Medicaid, hey, Jesus, are you listening? You remember that thing you said about, when you told your followers, as you do this to the least of my brothers, you do it to me? Well, listen up, Jesus. Medicaid. Also, McCarthy and his Nazis want to put work requirements on families who desperately need assistance, the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program. Now, the fact is that most people on food stamps who genuinely can work already do work. Good God. And given that many of the low-wage jobs available come with no health benefits, way to go, corporate America, you bastard son of a bitches, you. No health benefits and unbelievably low pay. The requirements to get a job, go ahead and work, would likely further make people miserable without genuinely encouraging them to secure some kind of a grasp on the so-called economic ladder to pull themselves up. I mean, there are already people who are getting temporary assistance for needy families. People are getting food stamps. People are on Medicaid. Do you know anybody in those groups? Huh? I'm sure you do. And you see the struggle, the day-to-day, hour-to-hour struggle. In so many instances, just to feed their children. But these Christian fascists, they don't give a shit about that. Eh? Hey, Jesus, you listening? In fact, as Sasha writes, this proposal, this 20-hour work week shit, is a recycled version of ideas that have been in place, or at least in most cases talked about, within the Christian Fascist Party back when it was a Republican Party for 30 years. Back in 1995, Republicans wanted a $16.5 billion cut to the food stamp program. They wanted a $40 billion cut 18 years later. So under this version, the current version of this proposed able-bodied adults under the age of 55 thing, these people would have to go to work or get their food stamps cut off unless the person in the family receiving the food stamps was working. Oh, that's great. Huh? What do you think, Jesus? Is this what you meant when you, was that Sermon on the Mount or whatever it was? Huh? Is this what you meant when you told your disciples, I've been hungry and you fed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was in prison and you came to visit me, and I was sick and you took care of me. And the disciples said, wait, hold up. What do you mean, Jesus? None of that shit's ever happened to you. And then the famous line that Jesus made, well, as you do this to the least of my brothers, you do it to me. Are these Christian fascists listening? Hell no. Now, some of the more hardline Christian fascist bastards in Congress want the age cap increased from 56 years to 65. And people would be able to re-enroll again if they're dropped from this program only after 3 years have elapsed. You see what the fascists are talking about? No food stamps, no temporary assistance, no Medicaid, nothing for 3 years. And then after they re-enrolled, they would be limited to 3 months of benefits every 3 years. And the rest of the time, they're supposed to take care of their needs themselves. Ooh, what was I talking about a minute ago about this incredible safety net we have in this country? The Congressional Budget Office has estimated that if this idea ever were put into play, which it won't, it would result in 275,000 people per month, month after month after month, losing the benefits that they rely on. 275 the first month, and then another 275 the second month, and on and on. As you do this to the least of my brothers, you do it to me. And a conservative think tank, unnamed here, estimates that if this were put into place, this bullshit that Kevin and the Nazis are talking about, it would only result in $150 billion in savings, less than half of 1% of the total amount of money the U.S. now owes its creditors. So you see the point. Making these cuts is not going to, nor is it designed to reduce the debt. It is designed to hurt people because the Christian terrorists are just that. They are terrorists first, and they have taken the Christian religion and turned it into something foul and demonic and hateful and vile. But they'll go to church this Sunday, won't they? Now, none of these little chicken shit cuts in the big picture of what we owe. We owe, what, $30 trillion? That's our debt. So $150 billion in savings, that's a rounding error. That doesn't mean shit when you're talking about $30 trillion. It means nothing. It wouldn't even make a dent in the debt. And as Sasha points out, even the Foundation for Government Accountability, which is a conservative think tank, that wholeheartedly embraces the requirements to get your ass to work, they estimate that it will only result in that $150 billion in savings spread out over several years. Now, you know, $150 billion, yeah, that sounds like a lot, doesn't it? It sure as hell does to me, but that's chicken feed, chicken shit, less than half of 1% of the total amount of money the U.S. now owes its creditors. So, for this bullshit artist, this cowardly little prick, Kevin McCarthy, to make that the red line in his negotiations over the debt ceiling is the worst kind of grandstanding. It's little Kevin McCarthy, little boy Kevin, who is displaying himself to be a bigger 10-year-old than Donald Trump. There's Kevin. Oh, I'm the Speaker of the House. I'm going to say all kinds of shit like this because I can. But Kevin wants nothing to do with taking on this budget deficit, this $30 trillion that the United States currently owes. Oh, no, what? Not me, saith Kenneth. Kevin, God damn it. But it has everything to do with blackmailing the Biden administration to impose this destruction on the social safety net that these Republican Christian demons out of a hell portal somewhere, these bastards just burp right up out of hell and wind up in the U.S. House. They've been unable to do any of this shit through the normal legislative process, so they're going to try it this way. Well, we'll just bankrupt the country and bankrupt the whole fucking planet. And you talk about temporary assistance for needy families. Well, if people get hungry under those circumstances, they can eat the family pet. And when that's gone, how about junior or sister? So just pretend for a moment, because that's what Sasha does here. If McCarthy were to succeed in securing these work requirements and then give the green light to his Christian demons to vote in favor of raising the debt ceiling, the fiscal imbalance that we have in this country would still continue the way it always has. And his bunch of Christian Nazis, which claim to be so fiscally responsible, will have to vote for another debt ceiling increase down the road. Because the spending is not going to stop. And a 50 or 160 or a 300 billion or a 1 trillion or a $5 trillion cut in the social safety net does nothing to make it all go away. It does what it is supposed to do. The goal of the Christian fascists: hurt people. That's all. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.